Okay. All right. Well, because we do have a pretty full meeting planned for all of you, I'm going to go ahead and get started. One note, my internet very occasionally will freeze up. I usually notice when it happens, it usually comes back within like 5 seconds. So if that happens, we'll just go through it. Hopefully it'll be fine. But yeah, welcome everyone to the January monthly meeting for 350 Madison. We're going to kick things off as we often do with video. And this month we're highlighting the video that was made for the Giving Tuesday celebration in December that celebrates both, 350 Madison and the work that it's doing, but also the 10-year anniversary of, hold on, let me do that properly. Share sound, there we go. But yeah, also celebrates the 10-year anniversary of the organization, and so features lots of people that you may see on this very call.
At 10 years, 350 Madison is stronger than ever and ready to meet this critical climate moment, a moment that will set the course for generations to come. We've been tested by the tough fights and emboldened by our wins, and we're ready for the future, the most critical period yet for avoiding the most serious impacts of climate change. There will be no second chance. That's why we're using our collective power to hold our leaders' feet to the fire, to commit to going further, faster. We are resisting the harm caused by fossil fuels and advocating for effective solutions that fulfill a vision of a better future for all. We are all in.
As I look back over the past 10 years, some of the people have been the same and some people have been different. What has stayed the same is a group of really committed people that want to work together on climate change.
Really, it's the passion of the people that are involved and the knowledge that they bring. Even, after years of struggle, you still see people coming up with new ways, new ideas.
I felt like I was being listened to and respected and appreciated from the get-go. And that was a really unique experience with an organization, especially as a young person.
350 Madison is unlike any group I've ever seen in terms of community and supportive, motivated people working together.
There are all sorts of different personality types and people with different interest areas that are all focused on similar goals.
When somebody gets inspired, they say, hey, what about this? I have this vision. And then we all kind of rally around and then we go for it.
It's just inspiring to see people who actually care about the environment, who actually care about dismantling the systems within the US, who actually care about solving major problems that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily pay attention to.
I think we're at this very exciting moment where within the next 10 years, we can take this incredible foundation that has been made for the last 10 years and carry it forward into something even more special.
The fossil fuel industry benefits from people being doubtful about their own power to make change. It's only when we end up coming together and finding a community like 350 Madison that we can mobilize for effective change.
The time is short. We need to be all in. We need to be pushing as hard as we can to get that really rapid, dramatic action that is needed.
10 years from now, I hope what we'll all be working on is making sure that everybody has access to these sustainable technologies and not having to worry about if, Enbridge is building a pipeline through Wisconsin.
I hope it's more common for everybody to be taking part in these issues.
I would like to see 350 Madison as one of the most powerful sources of continuing change in the greater Madison area and beyond.
I hope that more people, both locally and in the state, see the work that we're doing and the committed, the very smart, committed, creative people that are a part of that.
I hope that we're all in for living together on this earth.
Here in Madison and across Wisconsin, 350 Madison is the right organization at the right time. You will find us working with community leaders, providing expert testimony, standing ground with our Native American allies to resist oil pipelines, pushing for divestment and defunding of fossil fuels, and in all we do, demanding equity and justice. We are all in. Please join us and support us today.
Okay. All right, so that's a little bit of an introduction to 350 Madison, a little more on all the things that are some of the things that were touched on in that video in a minute. But now I've got like a lot of screens going here. We are going to, as we often do, pause and take 2 deep breaths to ground ourselves and reflect our ties to this land. So part of acknowledging our ties to this land is acknowledging that the area in which we live is part of the traditional territory of the Ho-Chunk people called Dejok, our area is. The Ho-Chunk lived on this land for thousands of years. At one point, they were coerced into signing new treaties that forced them to cede their territories and forced to relocate to reservations in Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. Many Ho-Chunk walked back to their homes in Wisconsin after these forced relocations, showing their powerful connection to their ancestral lands. The oral tradition of the Ho-Chunk people states, "We have always been here," and they are, in fact, still here. Okay. Cool. So with that, I'd like to welcome everyone officially to our January monthly meeting for 350 Madison. We have these meetings every month as a chance to connect with other people, learn, get inspired, learn about different ways to get involved with climate action, and hopefully accomplish all of these things tonight, especially connecting with people and getting involved. We often have a speaker at these meetings, but we're going to try something a little bit different today, which is almost like an online volunteer fair sort of tour of the organization. And so the way it's going to work, 350 Madison sort of runs on teams and volunteers. So we're going to hear from both the volunteers and leaders of different teams in 350 Madison. First from what we call the support teams, who kind of help the organization run. And then another round of campaign teams who are working on different climate actions and climate campaigns. So this is about the structure. We'll hear from a couple volunteers and then have a chance to have breakout rooms to talk further with different groups. So you can pick the one that sounds most interesting to you, that you'd like to learn more about for yourself, or maybe for a friend that you'd like to get involved. And then, so we'll do that for kind of both sets of teams, and then we'll have a little time at the end for announcements and breakouts. Hopefully most of that was hearable and I didn't freeze. All right, and with that, I will turn things over to Nikki to introduce our first set of volunteer speakers.
Hello, everyone. So if you don't know me already, I am Nikki. I'm the volunteer coordinator for 350 Madison, and we're really excited to hear from different volunteers about what each team is like. And one thing I just want to mention is that if you're already a longtime volunteer, you've already been here for a while, I still think this will be interesting and engaging, and maybe you'll find something else you want to get involved in. And if you've never been here before, hopefully this will give you a nice tour and the ability to figure out what might strike your passions and get you the most excited about getting involved with us. So with that, I am going to introduce our first speaker here, and that is going to be Emily Park from our Communication Action Team. Emily, take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Emily, and I am here representing the Communication Action Team, also known as CAT. I started volunteering with CAT in early 2019, and then since August of 2021, I've been with 350 Madison as staff. So been a really interesting change in role for me. But the communication team is the first team that I was heavily involved with 350 Madison, and as a new volunteer, what I really liked about it is, there really is a role for everybody in CAT. We're always looking for people with just such a wide variety of skills and interests, and we're a small team, so there's a lot of collaboration and a lot of working together to find things that projects that suit each person's interests. We've got so many different projects that we want to tackle that, as a volunteer, you would have a lot of autonomy to pick something that sounds interesting to you and run with it and, experiment with it. So I really think that the communication team is a great way to learn about the organization as a whole, because of course you have to be aware of things that are happening in all the different campaign teams and support teams. And also, if you're someone who's maybe a little bit shyer and doesn't want to be, on the streets marching, talking to a megaphone or speaking to a crowd, the CAT is a great way to be involved, but also be a little bit behind the scenes. I look forward to hopefully welcoming some new volunteers to the communications team.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Emily. And we will have a chance after we are done hearing from each of our support teams to have breakout groups, just like Christina said, where you can talk more to Emily and other CAT team members about potential projects and things like that. So the next group I want to focus on is our fundraising team. So important for what we do, as we could not support our organization without it. So I'm actually going to turn it over to two of our former interns who both worked on the fundraising team, and that will be Emily Engel and Maya Charins. So go right ahead, ladies.
Thanks, Nikki. Hi, everyone. I'm Maya. I've met some of you before. I was an intern with 350 Madison about a year ago, but I've stayed on to help with volunteering for the fundraising. So it's been really awesome. I do a lot of event planning help and peer-to-peer fundraising help, which some of you have been participants of yourself, as well as social media. So what that looks like is thinking of how to make events, fundraising events, a bit more accessible, interactive, and fun for everyone, especially in this day and age of COVID and having stuff be over Zoom. On the peer-to-peer side of things, I work directly with Stephanie to implement the proper language and graphics and layouts for our peer-to-peer websites and for all the formatting. And then I work directly with fundraisers to help them get situated on their fundraising and to make sure that they feel comfortable in making this ask. And then lastly, something else I've helped out with fundraising is social media. So thinking about how to promote our fundraisers and our fundraising itself. So this past year for Giving Tuesday and for our bike campaign we had earlier, we took snapshots of our fundraisers and shared them to social media. So that was a really cool way to kind of tie the two together. And then basically sharing the post and details with Kat. Like Emily said, they kind of take care of the rest. So honestly, volunteering with 350 Madison and being a part of this incredible organization has been incredibly impactful. It's really showed me the power of grassroots activism and how our community has such dedication to the fight for climate justice. It's been an amazing time, and I'm sad to leave Madison, but won't be leaving 350 Madison, and fundraising is always looking for people to help. So yeah, I can now pass it to Emily.
Thanks, Maya. So similar to Maya, I was an intern at 350 Madison from January to May of last year. Kind of general assignment, I helped a lot of teams, but I found myself always coming back to fundraising and spent a lot of time with the fundraising team. And a lot of what I was doing was conducting research on foundations in Wisconsin that had grant opportunities in hopes of finding opportunities for us to apply to get funding for the organization as a whole, or for specific teams or initiatives within 350 Madison. And so my research was really trying to find the foundations that were most compatible with 350 Madison in order to really ensure that we were happy and confident in the foundations that we were spending time via the application process, and really confident that we could earn grants from these foundations that we were reaching out to. The work in the fundraising team is incredibly rewarding and fulfilling. It was really motivating to know that the work that I was doing every day for the fundraising team was really so important and integral to ensure, the longevity of 350 Madison, and to not only help sustain 350 Madison, but to help it grow and expand into new and exciting areas. And it's a great group of people, and I couldn't recommend it more.
All right, thank you so much, Emily. Thank you, both of you. So the next team we're going to be hearing from is our monthly meeting team, who help organize this and all of our regular monthly meetings, making sure that we have interesting and engaging speakers, and that things run smoothly when we're on Zoom. So, and in person when we did that. So I am going to turn it over to Marion.
Thank you, Nikki. That was a very good summary of our team. I have been on, my name is Marion Friedel, monthly meeting team. Been on the team since later in 2019, so it was pre-COVID. And what I love about this team is just what we're able to pull off. We brainstorm ideas, and like Christina said earlier, and Nikki said, we get to connect with each other, new people. We get to help people learn about climate change, become involved or committed to ending climate change, and all the parts of that the monthly meeting does for us. And we have a wide berth of what we think that the membership as a whole and the organization would like to hear about, would like to learn about, or events like this even. So I like it because it's very practical. We get to work together, but we get to brainstorm ideas. We get to set up the meeting, do the Zoom. We pre-COVID, we would set up the chairs, bring snacks. Now we do Zoom and do like Christina, what Christina's doing today, the breakout rooms, the chats, just very practical work. But it's bringing the intensity and the need for work on climate change to our community of Madison. And I just am very inspired by the work that we're able to bring to our entire city and beyond, and help people deepen their commitment to this very urgent and important cause. So thank you, Nikki, and anybody would be welcome to come and hear about our team.
All right, thank you, Marion. So the last support team that we're going to be hearing from is our art collective, which is an incredibly creative group of people coming up with interesting and unique ideas to get our message out through use of art, whatever that means to you, any sort of medium. So for that, I'm going to pass it over to Beth.
Hi, everyone. I'm Beth Rossett. I am on the art collective, and I've worked on and off on the art collective for quite a few years. Done everything from make posters to make critter hats, like animal hats to wear in parades, and lately, in the past year or so, I've been getting more involved and a little bit more in the planning, which has been really fun. And what I love so much about working with this collective is, for one, the art collective really supports all the different activities and committees at the 350 Madison. And we really work collaboratively and both within our art collective and within 350 and other organizations. One of our main goals is to engage the public and inspire people into action. And it's climate change is a pretty daunting and subject, and a lot of people are just so either frozen with fear or numbed into a stupor. So we really try to engage the public with joyous rebellion, with fun and beauty and outrage, and inspire people into becoming involved and into joining us and joining other climate and environmental work. So we want to reach people through silliness, through beauty, through opening people's hearts. And so our acts are very much a call to consciousness and to live fully and embracing each other in the collective and the larger public that we engage. So it's not just about rebelling and no, it's about really, because there's a lot to say no to in our work. We really have to be critical, but we also want this work to be about reconnecting, interconnections, and about celebration of life. And so we really aim for our group to be a close working group that really enjoys working together and plays together well and cares for each other. And I think that makes this collective, that's really involves me a lot in the collective. And also doing these creative activities. We do all sorts of just outrageous street theater to animal puppet parades and create beautiful banners just some stuff is so silly, like the billionaire theatrical event we had this summer, and we're looking. We just brainstormed a lot of new activities for 2022, and so there's a lot of exciting things that we're talking about. And we also in the collective, it's important, you can enter at any level. You can enter, you can come join us and wear a beaver on your head, or you can come join us and really bring a project that you want help bringing to fruition. We really want to welcome people in all different ways.
Thanks, Beth.
Yeah, thank you. So the next thing we're going to be doing are some breakouts to talk with these 4 teams. So we would like you to join the breakout group that you're more interested in learning more. So we will have, if you're already in a team, maybe it's just where you want to go to talk to new people. If you are not on one of these teams, just pick one that is most interesting. Even if you're already volunteering somewhere else, just pick a spot to be for one of these 4 teams. And as we're doing that, just a reminder for team leads who are going to be just discussing a little bit more about what's involved. If you could make a note of anybody who is interested in joining your team for me, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
I think I missed how you join the team.
Yeah, so it's on the slide. But if you're having trouble getting yourself to a breakout room, because I think I just made the slide go away, just drop in the chat which room you'd like to go into, and we can put you there. Breakout campaign teams, their chance to shine. So whoop. That was my internet. All right, I'm back. So hopefully you were able to connect with some folks, hear a little bit about the teams. I think whether you're new or longtime volunteer, it's good to kind of see what people are doing, if only to share with others to join the cause. So with that, I'm going to turn things back over to Nikki to introduce our next round of speakers.
All right, thank you, Christina. So Our next teams are going to be our major campaign teams. And to start with, we're going to be hearing from Climate Justice that is working to create relationships with BIPOC organizations and make sure that frontline communities are heard within the climate movement. And speaking to what they've been up to over there is Ellen.
Hi, everybody. My name's Ellen McGee, and I accepted the invitation to speak tonight, not necessarily because I'm a leader in the climate justice group or that I've participated or led all of the things, but I will speak to my own experience as being part of the climate justice group. There's a lot more to it than just what I've experienced, I guess is what I want you to know. I first heard about the climate justice team when the team was meeting regularly to discuss Me and White Supremacy, the book, which was a very heavy study group. But unfortunately, I didn't know about it until like the last 2 meetings that they had. And so that led to me doing some research, and I ended up getting onto another group out of Milwaukee, actually, that was studying Me and White Supremacy. And I will just say that my participation in that circle definitely raised my consciousness and has had a pretty big difference with my relationship with people that I'm close to that are not of my race. The other thing that was really impactful for me after the white supremacy study circle, there was some outreach to people of color in the community, leaders, to see where we fit in as far as allies. And the people at Justified Anger suggested that we take the Black History for a New Day course as a group, which we did. And I see a lot of familiar faces here from that. It was quite eye-opening. It was a big time commitment. We had internal leadership, but it was very well presented and very powerful. And so my experience with this group is that it's brought me to a better place in terms of my own work, internal work with white supremacy. And I also just want to mention that I was privileged to be part of the People's Budget meeting that, Marianne, can you remind me who the group was?
It's Freedom
Inc.
Yeah.
Freedom Inc.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. My memory is not getting better with age, I'll just say that. And so there's a lot of really exciting stuff going on in our community with people of color, BIPOC-led organizations that this is a bridge to really interact and be part of things, which in my experience in Madison doesn't come along real often. So, and then I'll just mention that this wasn't necessarily part of the climate justice group, but many of us went to the Treaty Peoples gathering up in Minnesota for the Line 3 protest. And that was a real cultural immersion kind of experience that I don't think I would have managed to be part of if I wasn't part of the 350 climate justice group. We were supporting each other, and it just helped to know people up there. So that's my experience. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Ellen. That is really, really great to hear. So the next team we're going to be hearing from is our Community Climate Solutions team, just focusing on pushing for sustainability measures within local government. And we're going to be hearing from Haley.
Hi guys, I'm Haley. As Nikki said, I've been volunteering with the Community Climate Solutions team, it's a mouthful, for about a year and a half. And I think one of the neat things about that team is it's a team, but it's huge. There's a different realm for basically anyone and everyone. So some of the things I've done just in the last year and a half, I attended a bunch of local government meetings on like transportation policy and planning board, on the plan commission, which talks about buildings, and just like learned who my elders are and what they're doing about local climate stuff from a policy perspective, and some non-climate stuff as well. I helped write a report on green building incentives and how that might work for Madison and how it's worked in other places. I guess, ventured into little projects that were other people's ideas. I've done some that are my own. I was part of a fledgling transportation group. I really like talking about how much I hate cars, and this gives me a way to do so. But I think basically, if you have any policy wonk in you at all, or you want to see what's going on in your local community, there is some place for you in the Community Climate Solutions team. For me, it's stuff like transportation. For other people, I think it's agriculture, or even if you're not a policy wonk, if you just want to know what's going on locally and support it and be critical, but like try to change things and try to work with systems that are trying their best, kind of, sometimes, I don't know. It can be a really great way to get involved.
Awesome. Thanks, Haley.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So the next team we're hearing from is our Divest and Defund team, which focuses on getting large corporations, primarily Chase Bank, to divest from fossil fuels and invest in a clean future. And for that, we are going to be hearing from Kathleen.
Hi, I'm Kathleen, and I've been part of the Divest and Defund team for about 5 years. And our primary focus has been to disrupt business as usual and do brand damage on JP Morgan Chase, who, as Nikki said, is the biggest fossil fuel funder of infrastructure in the world. But we also target other financial institutions such as BlackRock and Liberty Mutual. I was first drawn to Divest and Defund because I wanted to be involved in actions such as rallies and demonstrations and bank sits, and to do the tasks that related to those actions. Unfortunately, due to COVID precautions these past 2 years, the Divest and Defund large-scale actions have decreased, although not disappeared. For example, we've been part of the protest in Minnesota to stop Line 3 and the theatrical acts at the farmers market this summer with other teams. These days, Divest and Defund team meets on Zoom. We have done things like digital takeovers of Chase Bank Google reviews. We've written letters and emails and made phone calls to Chase executives such as Jamie Dimon. And we've also engaged with potential allies, such as Sarah Godlewski, the Wisconsin State Treasurer, who oversees state pension funds. I volunteer because I'm interested in learning about the way climate destruction is supported by these institutions. I think it's meaningful to challenge this support. Another big reason I continue to volunteer is that I've come to know and value other volunteers on the Divest and Defund team, indeed on all the teams, and I have come to consider them my friends. That's all.
Well, that's fantastic. It's, you know, a lot of the teams, it's just so much fun, not only to, you know, fight for climate change, but also to meet new people and make new friends. So last but not least, we're going to be hearing from our tar sands team that is fighting pipelines in the Midwest. And for that, we are going to be hearing from Grace Johnson.
Hello, everyone. So
just kind of a rundown of what the tar sands team does. We are primarily focused on fighting pipelines in the greater Wisconsin area. So that includes pipelines like Enbridge's Line 3, Enbridge's Line 5, among others. And what we're involved in currently is mounting an opposition, really, against further development of Line 5 that is currently slated to take place. Essentially what's happening is Enbridge is trying to expand its route of the pipeline to go around the Bad River Reservation up by Superior, because the Bad River Reservation has rescinded their permits for the activity taking place on their tribal lands. And Enbridge is therefore trying to get sort of an escape hatch out of being responsible for that. So as tar sands team members, we generally are involved both in educating people on the destructive nature of pipelines, either how they affect local wildlife, how they affect people's ability to have clean air and water, among other things. And then we are also heavily involved on the side of organizing against pipeline development. For example, we just had a meeting of our tar sands team earlier this evening, and we were engaged in a lot of things from phone banking to writing up email scripts in order to get people to mobilize either in the form of public comments or testifying virtually, because the Wisconsin DNR just released a draft environmental impact statement sort of assessing how Line 5 is intended or is expected to impact water quality, air quality, and other environmental features of the Wisconsin area. And so we're currently trying to get as many people as possible to get involved with that and either testify against the pipeline or write public comments urging the Wisconsin DNR to take action against the pipeline. And so one of the reasons that I like being on this team in particular is because our actions are so concrete and we have a very specific target, which sometimes takes out the quality of abstractness that sometimes you feel when dealing with environmental work, because there are always so many factors. But when you're dealing with tar sands, it's usually a very specific goal that you're targeting, which is sometimes nice for people to focus. And I've just met a lot of wonderful people who are really oriented toward those goals and are open to educating other people about the destructive impacts of tar sands.
Thanks, Grace.
Grace, that is, it's really important, all of the work that everybody is doing. So we're going to be doing one more set of quick breakouts here, this time with our campaign teams. So same as last time, you'll pick a team to join, and team leads, if anybody is joining that's new, if you could just make a note for me.
And I'll bring everyone back around 8 o'clock. Thank you, Julia.
All right. Well, thank you so much to all of our volunteers who spoke tonight. It was very uplifting to me to hear your experiences and not only what you're doing, but the people you're meeting and what is engaged in volunteering. It's just gives me the warm fuzzies. So that's really great. So thank you so much for all of you who took the time to speak and run the breakout rooms. I really appreciate it. I don't know if we've had a monthly meeting team where we had as many speakers speaking during one meeting. So that was, thank you for all your coordination.
Thank you, Nikki, for wrangling. I think Nikki introduced herself, but she is her volunteer coordinator. So if you want to connect with any of these teams and you forget people's names, at least remember Nikki's name and she can get you connected with the right person. All right, we are going to do some lickety split announcements just to make sure everybody's up to speed. First, I have to get my slides in slide share mode. 1 second. Okay, let's try that again. But first, I'm going to turn things over to John Greenler, our executive director.
Yeah, thanks so very much. Yeah, I have a good news announcement, but first, a very short quote by Catherine Hayhoe from the front page of today's New York Times. She's a climate scientist, a professor at Texas Tech, the chief scientist for the Nature Conservancy, and an evangelical Christian. And she said, one of the things she said, for many people now, hope is a bad word. They think that hope is false hope. It is wishful thinking, but there are things to do. And I think we've heard a lot about that, all the opportunities today, which has been great. And we should be doing them, and we are. Part of the act of hope is recognizing that there are people out there who are motivated from the heart, who are expressing love for others. I'll put the link for that interview in the chat in just a second. But the good news, the great news really, is that Emily Park's position with 350.org has been extended from February 7th to September 30th. The primary focus of her work, about 80%, will be on the national campaign effort to have the Federal Reserve defund from the fossil fuel industry. It's really important work, and her remaining time, about 20%, will be on a diversity of 350 Madison projects. So we are super pleased that Emily will be staying on with us. So thank you so much, Emily. It's really, really great to know that you'll be continuing as staff for the next bunch of months. So thank you. Thanks, Christina.
Yeah, thanks, John. I did things a little out of order. Stephanie, you're up next to give a quick highlight about fundraising.
Thank you, Christina. Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Robinson, and I'm the Development Director for 350 Madison. And many of you probably know that we just wrapped up our year-end fundraising campaign, which started with Giving Tuesday and just ended New Year's Eve. And I'm just so thankful. We'd like to thank all of you who contributed to the fundraising. We really, really appreciate the support, which is so essential for 350 Madison to be able to carry out its very important work. And we set a very ambitious goal this year of raising $40,000. That included Giving Tuesday. And we have come so close, and we are just really, really thrilled with the outcome. So wanted to let you all know that, and thank you all who supported it, the fundraising in many different ways. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. That's incredible.
Yay, thank you, Stephanie.
All right. And then finally, I think as you heard in Grace's sharing, now is the time for action on tar sands. So Phyllis, over to you.
Yes, thank you. So quick thing, we need 1,000 people to do to reject line 5. Go to this tiny URL .com/take action on line 5. And you can register for the DNR's virtual hearing. Actually, I just found out today you can't, but we'll get around to that. Submit a public comment, and please recruit a friend to do the same. And we have provided a sample comment and talking points. And this picture is something that's at stake in this fight. That's the Kakagan Bad River Sluice Complex. And it's where the wild rice grows at the Bad River Band harvests. And it would be destroyed really by any kind of spill into the Bad River. Next, can we get 40 people to attend our press conference? 1/12/22. It was going to be this Wednesday, but we realized it was going to be so darn cold. And when you're wearing a critter hat, you can't really protect your ears. And I didn't want us to lose our ears. So it's going to be a week from Wednesday, where it's supposed to be 35 degrees. And we're going to the corner of South Butler and East Main in the parking lot to meet there at 11:30 a.m. Get a banner or a costume. You see 2 of those banners here. And then we'll walk from there to the DNR, and there's going to be a press conference at noon. We're turning in over 1,000 petitions to the governor against line 5. We're turning in a wonderful art project that we made for there's one for the governor, and there's one for the DNR chief. When that's done, we're going to go up and, if it's open, deliver the art project to the governor's office too. And you can report there at artcollective@350madison.org if you can come, because we need to know how many costumes to bring. Other ways you can help the movement: sign up for a range of crucial tasks at tinyurl.com/line5volunteers. Whoops, will you go back? Thank you. We have a Facebook page, an unbranded Facebook page now, where we're doing an infographics project. And that is just type in at Facebook, shut down line 5, protect the water, and you will find them. And please share them twice a week. We really want to boost these. The first one has been seen by 22,000 people, so it's really working, and you can make it go farther. Friday, January 7th, we are co-sponsors of something that the Building Unity is doing, film showing and discussion of this film, Line 3. And that's where you can register at the tiny URL. Monday, January 10th. Oh, that's actually, sorry, been postponed. So many things were going on. We thought we better do our webinar later. And then also Building Unity is doing this virtual event on the 22nd, supporting the indigenous-led movements to stop pipelines and other threats to the earth. You can register there with that tiny URL. And that is all I have.
All right, thank you so much, Phyllis. And yeah, now's the time. Even if you can only do a little bit, try to see if there's a way you can get involved in that fight. Julia, you're our last item on the agenda. Can you give us a quick promo for next month's meeting?
Yes, we've heard this is a very dynamic speaker. I'm meeting with him tomorrow to to help him prepare. Apparently the US military is one of the largest, if not the largest, single consumer of fossil fuels. And so he's going to talk about the impact of the military on the climate crisis. So join us the first Monday of the month, as is when we usually meet, and that will be Monday, February 7th at 7 p.m.
All right, thanks, Julia. So with that, that's the kind of official end of our agenda. I will open up breakout rooms for all the different teams if you want to drift around and catch anybody. So people who hosted, if you're willing to stick around for maybe even just 5-10 minutes, if there's anyone who wants to talk to you. Julia, I think you can stop recording now as well. And yeah, thanks again to everyone. Please join us next month. And I think that's all.